between climate change, the resurrection of fascism, and genocide, politics are more high stakes than ever before. Due to natural selection, we have evolved in such a way that we respond to existential threats with survival mechanisms. Survival mechanisms based on dread or desire. This is all very understandable. We cannot self-talk our way out of our fundamental wiring. But there is a way to process that which comes at the fear and the rage and the suspicion and the domineering tendencies. There is a way to process it using mindfulness and meditation. Who can forget in Attack of the Clones the conversation a young Anakin had with Padme, where he, in a profoundly juvenile manner, said that he could just force politicians to settle things his way. That puts me in remembrance of the facade of a Pax Romana, where an analog of peace is generated through brute force. But the moment that brute force is removed, the peace crumbles. We saw that in the Roman Empire. We saw that in the fall of the Soviet Union. If we force people to do what we think is right, they remain unchanged. And once we are gone, or once our attention wavers, they revert to their short-sighted, destructive behavior. Fortunately, we can take a page from one of the translations of Garb Dorje's teachings and perform something called the spontaneous fulfillment of wishes. As we breathe in, we can be completely vulnerable to whatever comes up, whatever emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, imaginings, and the like, including our desires for safety and sustainability and egalitarianism and democracy and universal well-being. Those things can come spontaneously to mind. And as we exhale, we can release all our hindrances to that. Other times, as we breathe in, we might notice that which we dread. Ecological collapse, genocide, fascism, and the like. And as we exhale, we can release all the energetic propensities that feed those fears. Meditators wiser than myself has said that by relying on the awareness that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random of mindfulness, and the relaxation and release latent within meditation, that is the optimal manifesting, that does not rely on rigidity or our controlling tendencies, but instead relies upon our flexibility and as well as a propensity to let go. Together as a team, let's chant the Sunday evening excerpt of Song of Enlightenment, written by Yong Jieshuanjue, translated by Red Pine, adapted and amplified by yours truly. But first, allow me to remind you that during the remainder of the live stream, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. If you're using a laptop or a desktop, that chat window will be on the right. If you're using your phone in a vertical manner, it'll be right here. The unsurpassed king of all dharmas, realized by countless Buddhas. This wish-fulfilling jewel I have revealed, may all who accept it do the same. Let us not find fault with the ease and simplicity of noticing and releasing, for it is a mistake to confuse the arduous and difficult with that which is truly effective. Look around, there is not a thing. There are not any people. There are not any Buddhas. All the worlds in the universe are like bubbles in the sea. All the sages and worthies are like mere lightning. There is nothing that we could perceive, emote, intend, reason, recall, or imagine that we cannot release, as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Even if an iron wheel rolled across my skull, the perfect light of samadhi wisdom would still shine. The practice and the mastery of mindfulness and meditation in harmony with inhalation and exhalation is something that can be practiced anytime, anywhere. No batteries required. Through the sun, take two. Though the sun turned cold and the moon turned warm, not even an army of demons can destroy the truth. When an elephant pulls a cart up a mountain, has anyone seen a mantis block its way? Nothing, no how, can impede the efficacy of awareness and release of vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. Elephants do not follow rabbit trails. Enlightenment is not confined by minor rules. Do not criticize the sky when you are looking at it through a reed. If you still do not understand, this is for you. Contrary to patriarchies, rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, and cruel worldview, Karma Jigme Rinpoche taught that the essence of morality is merely nonviolence. Through the lens of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, the essence of morality is kind communication, conduct, and commerce. If this idea seems foreign, then reread this text until it feels familiar and intuitive. And of course, this text is available for free download. Just play with the links in the description area below the video. I look forward to meditating with you in less than 1 minute of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I have spent more than half my life studying the teachings and practices of each sect, as well as reverse engineering them, that I may play the Luke Skywalker to your Rey and help you to easily and quickly become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. And now we turn to Easy Proto Zen. It too is available for free download. Let us begin with concise recitations of empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge. We're going to begin with the longer triplet chant. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. And now, the more concise bookended chant. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. And now a quick reminder of the basic instructions for meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, such as Zen, Proto-Zen, Chandhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Atiyoga, Dzogchen, and even Trekcho. Despite the fancy-sounding nature of these names, the methods are fairly easy. The key to mind... So let's see here. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system, which has not evolved for active concentration, but instead has evolved to merely perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Therefore, one of the most efficient ways of practicing mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Conversely, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Therefore, one of the most efficient ways to meditate is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Therefore, my friends, now together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Rei on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. And remember, if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them to your life, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Remember, I check for questions about once every 8 or 9 minutes. So if it feels like a short eternity between you clicking the send button and me responding, please do not take that personally. I was once in a toxic relationship where my partner would, like clockwork, try to pick a fight with me every night at the exact same time. And at first, I would try to quell this individual's concerns eloquently and gently until I realized that she was just gonna blow up every night at the same time until she ran out of steam. Once that pattern became self-evident, I would simply spend each meltdown simply holding space for her to get in contact with her best self. And I would do that simply by relying upon the two branches of my autonomic nervous system, simply by relying upon my perception and release. While I don't recommend toxic relationships for anybody, if we're ever in a situation where someone's losing their mind and we basically have no choice. I'm disabled. I really couldn't get up and leave and drive away. I was stuck in a strange city in a strange dwelling. If you ever find yourself in a difficult situation, maybe with a raging authority figure, maybe with a raging cop, you can keep your shit together by practicing this. Eyes wide open, gazing at them, non-maliciously, non-judgmentally, vulnerably. And they can, like a kitty cat with its head stuck in an empty bag of Doritos, we can sit there waiting for them to back out of their meltdown. I've had many run-ins with people with personality disorders. Many of them treat me like catnip. And for years, I bought the pop psychology adage that I must be drawing them to me. But that's just philosophy. There's no real science behind that assumption. A really gifted psychologist shared an observation that people with personality disorders, narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, and the like, are drawn to the disabled, for they feel they are more easily taken advantage of, coerced, and manipulated. I was happy to know that this is a common phenomena and that I was not the proverbial lone gopher. If you're in a romantic relationship, here's a litmus test. In a moment of vulnerability, in a moment of quietude, share something, share a vulnerability with yourself, with your partner. If they use that vulnerability as an opportunity to meet your needs and reassure you, you've got a good person. If they use that vulnerability as a tool to manipulate and coerce you, it's time to make an escape plan. A wonderful example of that, which I just mentioned, could be seen in the first Deadpool movie, when he and his girlfriend are at the oncologist, and all of a sudden his girlfriend pulls out a stenopad and starts asking the oncologist these really intelligent questions about experimental treatments. That's just a wonderful example of a good, healthy, loving partner using their partner's vulnerabilities as an opportunity to meet their needs as best they can. Whether they succeed or not is beside the point. It's a question of heart and intention. Welcome to this evening's group practice. If you've just tuned in and you're interested in the lecture, you'll want to drag the progress bar all the way to the left and watch from the beginning. If you want to meditate, you are entirely welcome. If at any point you experience a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in the chat window. I check for questions once every 8 to 9 minutes. If this is your first time joining in, here's a concise meditation instruction. The key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, noticing whatever comes up, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, thus facilitating physical relaxation and mental release. And believe it or not, the path to enlightenment is just this simple. For regular practice of this, practicing this, 5 minutes once every 12 hours or so, set space for the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived, to flow of its own accord without any contrivance whatsoever. Let's practice. It is not our job to choose what comes up. It's not our job to select what sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents cartwheel across the stage of our mind. It's not our job to choose what emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, imaginings, or confabulations populate the expanse of the evening sky between our ears. It's our job to simply notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, as we inhale, to physically relax and mentally release as we exhale. You see, here's the great trick. Whether we want to or not, we're already wired to notice during each in-breath due to our sympathetic nervous system. And we are likewise wired to physically relax and mentally release, whether we want to or not, during each exhalation, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system. So the only work there is in meditation is to align our intention with our factory installed wiring. There are many people who consider themselves to be expert on the Buddha's teachings, whether they practice Zen or whether they practice Dzogchen. If they spend more time arguing than meditating, they probably aren't trustworthy guides. If they are more cranky and rigid than they are flexible and laid back, they probably aren't reliable narrators. This technique is the key to enlightenment. It can be practiced anyhow, anywhere, anytime. It can even, it can even be practiced in the midst of lovemaking. According to certain translations, the root of morality is simply this practice of noticing and releasing. For its fringe benefit is the effortless experience of love's centered spontaneity. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow with love's centered spontaneity, then we set in motion a domino-like series of cause and effect that make a paradise of the world around us. In his commentary to Essence of Refined Gold, the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet explained that every Lama is his own sect. So you could have two teachers using the same practice texts and using the same names for the same techniques, but teaching in a radically different way. How then? How are we to know which teacher to rely upon? Not by popularity, not by prestige, not by wealth, not by beauty, but by trial and error. I know this is inconvenient, maybe even scary, but the surest way to know if a teacher is the one for you or not is receive a technique from them. Apply that technique according to the instructions once every 12 hours or so, for even as little as 5 minutes. Do this for 7 consecutive days. It isn't very difficult. 5 or 10 minutes before and after work and you're good as gold. After 7 days, you'll know. You'll be able to look at your life and see whether your peace and your love diminished or increased. That is how you know which teacher to rely upon. Only 9 minutes left, so let's make them count. We've come to our final minute of meditation. If your eyes are closed, this would be a good time to open them gently. Together as a team, let us seal this evening's practice by chanting kind ethics and then the four immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness live spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way. Wait, I want to do a better job of imitating Mando. This is the way. Hey, Brock, thanks for the love. To you, I send a... Oh, I can't send you a Yoda high five. My camera's off. Good evening, one and all.